Hi there everyone, this is Zach here. So as we all probably know, there are two big shortcuts on GBA Bowser Castle 3 right around here. And there are plenty of tutorials out there on how to do them. All of them will say to align with some sort of brick or get inside some circle, use the shroom, and bam, cut. The same applies for the other shortcut that's doable as well. However, what I want to cover today is not just how to make these shortcuts, but why they work. A lot of people will consider these shortcuts a glitch, but they really aren't. Everything with them is in accordance to the game's natural physics designed by the developers. To illustrate this, let's look at these yellow ramps. How they work is that when you touch one, you will lose about 3 kilometers per hour per frame until you reach a certain threshold depending on things like if you are in a boost or a wheelie, with the minimum speed you'll drop down to being 50 kilometers per hour. This effect gets cancelled once you get back onto a drivable surface, as you can see here by the speedometer where I gradually accelerate up away from 50 kilometers per hour. And then once you touch another yellow ramp, the slow ramp physics come back, then you touch the ground again, and normal physics apply once more. The reason Nintendo coded these ramps to slow you down a lot is so that 1. You don't accidentally overshoot these gaps you have to cross here, and 2. So you don't have an easy time making this shortcut. By slowing you down, Nintendo has seemingly made it so these things couldn't occur. However, through some exploitation, we can greatly minimize this speed loss. If you look here at these banisters, you can drive on top of them. So what if instead of getting only air off the slow ramps, what if we got it off the banister as well? Now you'd expect to bonk on these banister walls when you touch one, and yeah, if you touch the wall you do, but instead of touching the wall, if you decide to graze the edge corner of the top, what'll happen is that you won't get a big speed loss from a bonk. Instead, the game will go, oh, you touched normal road. Well, I guess it's time to stop slowing you down now. Back to normal physics. And this logic is why the BC3 cut works. By clipping the edge corner, you can get enough speed to where the cut becomes possible. Now, if you look carefully, I do end up losing a little bit of speed going for this cut initially due to the slow ramp. However, because I got back onto a normal surface, this means I can accelerate once more until I get back into the air again. That being said, this cut is still kinda precise. If you're too far left, you'll hit the wall like I showed before, and if you're too far right, you won't even touch the banister. This is why you'll see people aligning with the tiling of the bricks for reference. Using visual cues makes things easier. The same logic applies for the other shortcut, known as the Ultra, as well. So when it comes to the BC3 cut, there's multiple ways you could approach it. As long as you touch the edge of the banister without bonking and have a good alignment to make it, it'll end up working. When people play online, they don't aim for the literal exact same spot. They just try to aim for this corner edge above the yellow ramp. Sometimes when going for the shortcut, you don't get enough height to make it. This happens especially with the Ultra. I'm not exactly sure why this happens with the standard cut. Though with the Ultra, I've noticed that when you don't get enough height, it's because you clipped the absolute corner edge here. But when you get enough height, it's because you didn't clip this corner edge. You clipped more so the edge corner of the wall. As for why you get varying speed, well, it depends on how long you were in the air before touching the banister, as well as how many frames you were touching the banister itself. Here, for example, I dropped down from 116 kilometers per hour down to 101 due to the slow ramp physics. However, I was able to get back up to 115 kilometers per hour, and that's because I was on the banister for 2 frames before getting back into the air. Meanwhile, with this example, I only touched the banister for 1 frame, meaning I only got back up to 108 kilometers per hour. But here, I only dropped to 104 kilometers per hour instead of 101. And that's because I was in the air for 1 less frame before touching the banister. And lastly, with this example, because I was much closer to the banister, I was only able to get up to 102 kilometers per hour, and that's because I didn't have enough time to accelerate to top mushroom speed. So the last thing I want to cover is this cut quote-unquote random? One of the most common complaints I've seen from people is that the Bowser's Castle 3 shortcut is just dumb luck. It doesn't always work, it screwed me, bad track, bad game. And they are sorta right. With these ramps on BC3, there can be some variation when you go off one. For example, you'll see sometimes that the camera leans back more when going into the air, such as right here, and other times the camera doesn't do so. And with the load tricks, you can get varying air sometimes, making you gain or lose a lot of time. This is due to Nintendo intentionally coding the game to give you seemingly random actions based on various factors. Here's the thing though, you can easily make an argument that the cut is all skill. Think of it like this. If you stop to align for the cut and start from 0 kilometers per hour, which is a valid strategy that people do use online for the shortcut since it saves so much, as long as you go off at the exact same point, then the cut should work every time. If you repeat the exact same actions every single time, then the same result should happen. This logic is how in tasks, we get certain things to occur like sticking to a surface as opposed to getting a bounce. And if you want a simple example of this, just go to any ghost replay. You start the run every time in the exact same spot, the ghost repeats the same inputs every time, thus the same reactions always occur. Using the same logic, we can deduce why the BC3 cut isn't really just dumb luck. If you take the time to align for the shortcut, you can theoretically always make it, or at least get close enough to where you should never fail it. You see this especially with the Shroomless Ultra since it makes it a lot more consistent than trying to go for it without stopping. However, some people don't always like to have to take their time to align for the shortcut, and it's for an obvious reason. You're just going slower. If you want to get past the shortcut as fast as reasonably possible, you don't want to take your time. You would want to slow down, turn, and then go for the shortcut as soon as you are properly aligned towards it in some way. And yeah, not doing a complete stop may also add some randomness to it since these ramps aren't 100% consistent. But you knew the risk. You could have taken more time to align for the cut to make it easier, but you didn't. You wanted to go faster, and in the end, this ended up costing you. So yeah, it's not a glitch nor do I really consider it quote-unquote random. This game is working exactly as it should be. This is only an exploit. And that's where I'll wrap it up. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to get more content like this. Thank you so much for watching everyone and have a lovely day.